This town ain't big enough for the two of us.
You know, a lot of bloodshed would have been prevented if Wild West town planners would have just made their towns big enough for everyone. Cowboys haven't been cool for about 8 years. That all changed on October 26 when the sequel to Rockstar's smash hit Red Dead Redemption was released. Before we get into things, I am totally aware that Red Dead Redemption 2 is not an RPG in the traditional sense. But if it helps you sleep at night, feel free to leave me a comment reminding me that Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't really an RPG in the traditional sense. I don't really care, I just loved the game so much, which is why I'm reviewing it. Now on to the review. If there is one thing I can praise Rockstar about, it is that with each new game they seem to continually outdo themselves. Their latest installment, Red Dead Redemption 2, is no exception, particularly in terms of attention to detail and realism. I think it's safe to assume that Red Dead 2 is going to take out loads of Game of the Year awards, and I can certainly see why. But don't worry, I'm not going to be all fanboyee here. There are a couple of things about this title that cause me a bit of frustration. Yeehaw! Let's get into it. Red Dead Redemption 2 is set over a decade before its highly acclaimed prequel. You play the role of badass cowboy Arthur Morgan, whose gang is on the run from the law after a heist gone wrong. This is the foundation of the narrative, and it plays out through the entire game, with the gang of outlaws unable to settle down, forced to continue running and hiding, trying to find out one last job that will set them up for life. But this is just the surface level. The true depth of magic lies in the development of the character Arthur Morgan and his gang of outcasts led by Dutch. Yep, you may remember that name from the original title. In fact, there are quite a few returning characters, including John Marston, who was the main protagonist from Red Dead 1. In fact, the ending of this game is the perfect lead up to the first game. By the end of Red Dead 2, I just wanted to start the first one all over again. I mentioned before that Arthur and his gang will constantly be on the run. Each and every member of this group is given their own time to shine. Some will be key contributors to the plot, and while others might not seem as important to the overall story, their presence is required and the overall impact of key moments would not be as powerful without them. The story progresses through activating missions on the map for various characters. There's usually quite a few to choose from at a time, with some being completely optional. There are loads of missions to accept. Some are seriously epic, such as robbing a moving train, while others may be a little more relaxing, such as hunting a certain species of animal. Most of these missions are of an exceptionally high quality, loaded with well-written, perfectly voiced dialogue. The sheer number and the quality of these voice lines absolutely blew my mind, and this exceptionally high standard helps present countless, absolutely brilliant scenes, such as my new favourite drunk scene of all time.
Leave the kid alone, you goddamn animals!
Who do you think you're talking to?
Nobody. I'm talking to nobody.
What did you say?
What?
I said, what did you say?
Get lost, buddy. Shut up, mister!
Yeah, shut your mouth, mister.
It is really cool playing the role of a badass outlaw. Whiny, prepubescent kids gets tiring after a while, particularly if you, like myself, teach them for a living. Arthur is an ass, and you can choose to be a complete murdering ass or just a regular ass that helps others out occasionally.
I mean, one reason why I shouldn't put a bullet through your head.
All right. Under the pillow on top of my bed. Just take it and get out of here.
Either way, I love him, and his character grew on me like few characters ever have. And just like every single character in the game, his voice acting is nothing short of perfect. I mean, on long journeys, I tend to just spam the R3 button to make him praise his horse in that rustic, rough accent. Is that weird?
Alright, girl.
The giant world is littered with non-playable characters, and these help bring the West to life. The fact that you can interact with just about all of them really makes the world seem so dynamic. At one point, I helped out a young man and thought that I would never see him again, as would be the case with most games. However, a few hours later, as I was entering a gun shop, he approached me, thanked me again, and asked if he could pay for my next purchase. This was completely unexpected, but awesome, and it's the little things like this that really help make Red Dead 2 feel so alive. Red Dead Redemption 2 is up there with the best open worlds I have ever experienced. The land is huge, highly detailed, and there are 1,000,001 things to do. Missions aside, one of the things that really impressed me was the challenges. There are 10 categories of challenges that are presented to you, and trying to complete these was one of my favorite things in the game. Aside from the rewards, I think the best thing about them is that they really give you incentive to interact with the world in every way imaginable. For instance, one of the sharpshooter challenges requires you to board a moving train and snipe multiple birds out of the air, while one of the gambling challenges requires you to bust out multiple opponents in poker. Taking poker for an example, I wasn't very enticed by the poker minigame on its own, but having a specific challenge with an associated reward really amped up my engagement. But sometimes I just wanted to explore. The world was huge and full of secrets. Like at one point I found a tiny little hut hidden in a forest, only to discover multiple dead bodies that have been mutilated by a meteor that fell from the sky. At another time, I walked through a waterfall only to find a hidden cave full of extensive tunnels to explore with a bag of valuables hidden within. There are so many amazing little secrets and encounters to discover, and it's the many little details littered around the world that makes this world so worth exploring. So, Red Dead 2 is incredibly detailed, but it also went a little overboard on its realism. Boy oh boy, I have never played a game on this level. The bar just hasn't been raised, it has been loaded into a cannon and shot straight into the air. Most of the time, this realism is just astounding, such as the animations when skinning the hundreds of animals in the world, or how Arthur grows his body hair and changes his weight based on how much you've eaten, or how you occasionally have to clean your gun to ensure it can effectively fire its bullets. However, some of this realism just gets in the way of having fun. Forcing Arthur to walk through a camp was bad enough, but I think the horse stacking it system takes the cake. The first time my horse hit a tree, witnessing both Arthur and his stallion catapulting forward was quite amusing. The second time, I felt a little bad for my loyal companion. By the millionth time, I found myself yelling "fucking tree" for fuck's sake, or "fucking fuck muffin," or some other variety of the word. Seriously, it is that bad. What I'm trying to say is that most of the time, this newfound level of realism is exceptional and thoroughly enjoyable, but it's not without its occasional frustrations. Just about everything about Red Dead 2 is spot on perfection. The only real issue that I had with the game is the clunky controls. For starters, there are too many commands and not enough buttons, and this led to some pretty annoying issues at times. Take this for instance. I'm running towards my horse, ready to jump on its back and travel to my next destination, only instead, I either spear tackle or chokehold some innocent bystander to the ground, because mount, tackle and choke are issued to the same button. Then the cops start chasing me, eventually kill me and ruin my day. Fortunately, the combat is pretty solid. If you've played the original, you'll know what to expect. Each shootout involves taking cover, moving around the battlefield and shooting down your opponents. The aiming system is interesting as it kind of auto-aims, but not completely. Upon aiming in the general direction of an enemy, the gun will lock towards them, but you may still need to make slight adjustments to your aim to actually hit them or to pull off a headshot. Deadeye is also back, which slows down time and allows you to take out multiple enemies at once, like every badass cowboy should. I think the biggest challenge of the battles is positioning, ensuring you're in the correct spot to maximize impact while also protecting yourself from danger. But here, once again, the controls could use some work. Trying to take cover behind a tree, for instance, usually results in Arthur being on the wrong side of the tree. Yeah, the side that the bullets are coming from. Red Dead Redemption 2 is incredible, and the more I played it, the more absorbed into it I became. It truly is a masterpiece and should be played by all gamers. The incredibly beautiful world with tons to explore, the engaging narrative, the exceptional cast of characters, the dialogue and voiceovers, the well-designed missions, the crazy amount of extra content, the realism, the attention to detail, the gameplay. I'm going to run out of room here, so I'm just going to say everything except for the clunky controls. I know I'm not the only one who thought Rockstar hit the nail on the head with this one. What did you think of Red Dead 2? Is it your game of the year? Do you think it's overrated? Let me know in the comments. This was Hellfire RPGs, thanks for watching. If you like this, hit like and sub for more RPG content. See you next time.